Hello, welcome to my YouTube channel. Behind the smartphone or the recording device is your distinguished guest, David or Dave, and I'll be guiding you through this video presentation on disassembling this Western Digital MyBook Essential 3 terabyte enclosure or external hard drive. However, the hard drive that is inside this enclosure is not of 3 terabytes in capacity. That is just the enclosure model as such. The actual hard drive that is inside is 2 terabytes in capacity, to be precise and honest. And it's not even a green edition, like usually you would find that type of hard drive inside these enclosures. For the purpose of this video presentation, I'm using a Purple edition, still from Western Digital hard drive, 3.5 inch, naturally SATA 3 connection speed. The model is WD20PURX, which you will see in a couple of moments when I will remove this front oval mask. So in order to achieve this separation or disassembly of this Western Digital MyBook Essential external hard drive or the enclosure of thereof, you'll need some sort of a set of prying tools like the ones I have here. I'll put a link to this and the screwdriver set in the description box below. But even out of all of these tools that are inside this plastic bag, I'll be only needing, to be just honest, just this metallic nickel plated prying tool, because this is really good for this task, because it's slim and pointy enough to get between the main body of the enclosure and the oval piece of the mask, and still dull enough not to damage or scrape the plastic off thereof. And then you'll need, of course, some set of screwdrivers, basically just one Phillips head screwdriver, a bit wider one, so that you'll be able to separate the controller from the actual hard drive that is inside. But here I'm using a universal set. Maybe a little much more up close on the screwdrivers. So this is 31 in 1. I'll put a link to the description box and a link from eBay when you can get these. These ones are really great because they come also with the torque bits, which are also very good if you want to just, let's say, take apart hard drives in general and take out those very precious and strong neodymium magnets that are inside where the actuator or the voice coil of the reading head is located. And also the servo motor is also very useful. Maybe I can just open it up. So basically you'll just need probably this Phillips bit in order to separate that controller from the hard drive. But very useful tool. Now the other set is this one. This one comes with a lot of tools, also some screwdrivers as well, the torque bits, the Phillips head screwdrivers. So I'll be basically just needing or using this prying metallic rod. So now let's get started. So we will want to flip the hard drive in the vertical position. Now you would want to insert the, you could say, much more sharper edge of your prying tool somewhere. Let's start on this side, somewhere around here. And you want to get between the main body of the enclosure and this oval piece of the mask, so you have to go underneath. There you go. That's all right, nothing is broken. That just means that the two latches that are, one is around here and the other is somewhere around here, have become separated from this main piece of the body. So you just want to pull it a bit downwards. And also here. Let's go also a little bit here. and here. Okay. As you can see, the side has become a bit more separated. So that is exactly what we're looking for. So we'll start at the other end or the other side and repeat the procedure. So once you've gotten underneath, press downwards a little bit. So let's have a look. Yeah, this is exactly what we're looking for. So then we just basically put the drive in this position. And then we insert this sharper end a little here, and we start pushing this oval mask away from the body. Then we go downwards. Maybe I can actually try it with this side. So let's see if it has come off. There we go. We have enough gap on this side. Let's flip it on the other. So this should come very easily loose. And just slide it like so. So this should be now ready for separation. And you just lift the mask out. So, ta-da! Now this is it. Now this is the hard drive that is inside, like I mentioned a couple of moments ago. Purple edition, Western Digital, 2 terabytes, WD20PURX. A little bit closer that you can see the label. And on the back. So that's it. So now we'll go into the next phase. The next step is to take out this transparent piece of plastic, which is used for indication, because underneath in this rubber housing, if you want to call it, is underneath you have a white SMD light, which is used for through this transparent piece of plastic as a sort of a hard drive indicator. So when the drive is accessing files and so forth, the light blinks and everything is relayed or transferred through this transparent piece here. So we just basically just take it out. Nothing special. So now comes the much more interesting part. We have to separate or take out the actual hard drive with the 4 rubber feet that comes with it, or that are inside and pressed against each angle of the enclosure as such, the main body of the ROV. Now this is much more interesting. So now what we would do is that we would basically push the hard drive towards ourselves, but of course leave the body firmly into place in this position. So we want to push the hard drive towards us, or in the direction where we are. A little bit more and we're done. There we go. Then we just basically want to take out these 2 rubber feet first. And we still want to align the hard drive in such a manner Now, usually I would take out the hard drive by tilting it towards this side and then just simply taking it out. Sometimes these rubber feet get stuck on the enclosure, so this is it. So now we'll just take out these two rubber feet and we'll remove the controller. We have taken out or removed the last two rubber feet of the hard drive. So now we'll have a look at the rest and how we can remove the controller. So the controller is fixated or screwed onto the aluminum body of the hard drive through this screw right here, this Phillips screw, and there is one also on the side underneath here. So you just basically unscrew these two and then the controller would be removed in this manner. So we'll do that. I have already prepared the necessary Phillips bit on my screwdriver. So we've done this. Now we just simply slide the controller off the board of the hard drive. So this is the controller or the intermediate circuit through which you can access your hard drive through this entire enclosure in your operating system, Windows, Mac, Linux, whatever. Originally this controller had a sort of a dark grayish already glued on piece of paper in this sort of a triangle shape. I lost mine, so I'm using is a sort of just a regular paper substitute because apparently you don't want any shorts going on around here. So when the controller is attached to the controller of the hard drive, here you see a lot of these silverish spots, so this can cause a short with the controller here. So you want to insulate that, but when you will take out or separate your controller from your hard drive, you won't have this problem. So this is how it looks like, much more up close. Here you have also some numbers. Let me flip it. Yeah, that's much more right. So the ones here and also on the other side. Yeah, this is it. So before I wrap up this video presentation on disassembling fully your Western Digital MyBook Essential, in my case 3 terabyte enclosure or external hard drive, I might point out some details about the intermediate printed circuitry board or the controller that comes with it. My controller that came with this enclosure is, I could say partially faulty one because it has detection problems, but more on that, look up the video that I recorded when I was diagnosing the problems of thereof. And if something similar or even worse would happen to you, that this controller would completely die out, mine could probably be salvaged, but this is just speculation. Anyways, if something similar was to happen to you, you would want to get ideally the exact same controller in order to salvage the data of your hard drive. And how you would go about it, you would basically want to make note of the numbers on the sticker. You would have, of course, the most problems in finding a suitable controller because of the revision. That is the most painful parameter when you're seeking for a replacement controller. And these numbers are basically completely the same as they are etched on the back of the controller. So why would you have to get a replacement or even a exactly the same controller in order to have or get access to your data? Well, Western Digital uses a sort of a hardware encryption system in order to secure your data. I think this is a good marketing campaign when these controllers do go bad, that then you have to call them up in order to salvage the data from your hard drive. And I also found an interesting discovery when using these enclosures as such, is that it doesn't matter whether you turn on or off the hardware encryption on your hard drive through the Western Digital Smartware program. The data is encrypted regardless whether you turn that feature on or whether it is off. You cannot access the data without a suitable controller. So even if you have disabled the option to enable the hardware encryption of your data on your hard drive, and if you were to connect your hard drive to your, I don't know, like a desktop computer, you still wouldn't be able to access the data on it. So that is again also interesting. Probably the best way is just simply avoid Western Digital MyBook Essential enclosures or the product as such, and just basically take out the hard drive and put it in your desktop computer. But that is something that people have already found out on their own. So before I finally say goodbye, I'm just going to give you another tip or advice, and also visual confirmation that when we were separating this oval front piece of the enclosure from the main body, that we didn't break the 4 latches that are at each end of this side and this side of the enclosure. So I mean these latches here, these locking latches. We didn't break any of them. So this is how they look like. You have 2 here and 2 here. This also gives you a nice visual overview when you are inserting your prying tool or prying rod of your choice, that you don't mistakenly position it exactly between the side of the enclosure and the latch, because if you were to get right between here and you would tilt your prying piece or a rod or whatever, you would break off this ledge over here. And in general, you don't want to do that, but of course, you know, it depends on whether you want to salvage your enclosure in order to resell it, or just keep it when you might want to insert another hard drive into your enclosure. So be careful about this and these 2 latches here, that you don't break them. But you know, this is something for you to decide. Now, another thing that when I watched some of the videos, when they take out or separate, disassemble the Western Digital MyBook Essential external hard drive, is also when some of the people try to take out the actual hard drive with the 4 rubber feet still attached to it, they try to push it out at the wrong angle. So here you have these 3 protruding pieces of plastic sticking towards the inside of the, or towards the center of the enclosure. You have 3 here and also 3 here. So that means that, of course, like I've showed you, that you have to push the hard drive out in this direction, not in this one, because if you do that while the rubber feet are still attached to it, you might break off these 3 protruding plastic pieces, because these ones are used to secure the rubber feet, and of course with that also the hard drive itself within the enclosure, so it doesn't stick out too much and rub against the oval piece of the plastic enclosure or the front mask. So also we didn't break anything here or chipped it. Everything is still as it was. So that's it. So in the next video that I'll be recording, even though I have already recorded it, yesterday to be precise, we'll be learning on how to reassemble your already disassembled Western Digital MyBook Essential external hard drive again into one single unit that was visible or presented to you at the beginning of this video presentation. So putting all of these components and parts onto the hard drive, and then the hard drive itself into the enclosure, and securing everything into place so that you can then attach your already assembled MyBook Essential external hard drive and use it for whatever purpose that you require. When I recorded the video on diagnosing this actual external hard drive with the partially faulty controller, I was actually very reluctant whether I should do a disassemble or reassemble video, but I decided to go along with it anyway. So hopefully you found my disassemble and also the later one, the reassembled video, informative. You learned something new. So as always, leave your comments and questions in the comment section below. Like, subscribe, and have a great day. This is David, or Dave. Goodbye.